Yes, indeed, you read the thumbnail correctly. GT7 is getting paid DLC, and it's getting it soon. December 4th, in fact, so not too long at all to wait. This one is, of course, going to be pretty divisive as far as who's a fan of this and who isn't. I will, of course, be covering it on the channel, first and foremost, because it's literally part of my job to do so. I will say, if I didn't produce content, I don't know if I would bother downloading it, because I just don't play GT7 that much outside of content, to be honest, these days. That kind of speaks to why you would want something like this in the game, which is why I'm kind of two minds about it. Of course, the part of me that many of you are expecting has the exact thoughts which you're expecting me to have, because, yeah, I still stand by those thoughts, which is that this shouldn't be a DLC in the first place. Yes, there are some quote-unquote perks coming with it, such as 24-hour races, having qualifying and practice sessions, 5 million in-game credits for some reason, but all of these things are, let's be quite honest and cut through all the fanboy BS here, very literally things which could have easily been in the game from day one. In fact, I find some of the stuff which Kaz says in the trailer to be very odd, and this could well be a case of misunderstanding what he's saying, or maybe a mistranslation, because he mentions something along the lines of looking forward to bringing 24-hour racing to Gran Turismo at least once. Huh? What are you talking about, dude? Gran Turismo 4, Gran Turismo 5, we have 24-hour racing in the series. So no, that isn't bringing it for the first time. What I'm assuming he means is to GT7 for the first time, which if that's the case, that's an extremely low bar to be able to bring that to the game. And again, well, you could have just done that from day one. The fact that we're getting 24-hour races is pretty cool. I like the idea. And to be honest, the main thing that I don't like about stuff like that, even more so in this day and age, is that back in the day, it always used to feel like they were very underpaid events. You wouldn't get anywhere near as much cash as it would really feel justified in having for doing an event like that. The saving grace was, way back in Gran Turismo 4, I don't recall as much in GT5, but definitely in 4, there used to be some really cool prize vehicles. On some occasions, of course, cars which you could not buy, and that goes into rants which I've had before in terms of cars being far too easy to attain these days. Nowadays, you can literally pay to win, and I don't just mean by buying the car, you can literally pay to win by buying credits to buy said car, and this is essentially an extension of that idea, further proven by the fact that you have 5 million credits included in the DLC. Now, fundamentally, I have indeed said in the past that I support the idea of DLC. Some of my favourite gaming that I still do to this day includes DLC, in Fallout 4 in particular, Far Harbour, Nuka World, the Robot Workbench. All of this stuff genuinely adds so much more fun to an already great game. The DLC packs way back in Test Drive Unlimited on the Xbox 360 are to this day among my favourites as well. Some of my favourite vehicles like the Adonis, the Cadillac 16, the Mercedes CLK GTR, and plenty of others. But therein lies the key. The thing which both Fallout 4 and Test Drive Unlimited have in common is that they are both expansive, massive, super fun, really in-depth games from day one. And in both cases, it wasn't until a significant amount of gameplay later that I finally decided to add DLC, because it added to an already good game. And the key point being, it didn't add story mode to Fallout, and it didn't add racing to Test Drive Unlimited. It added extra stuff, not core stuff, and that is a massive difference between the two. When this is literally something which is as small as a menu change, changing something from a 3-lap event to a 24-hour race, it ain't that much of a difference if you really step back and think about it. Now, of course, being able to race and have practice mode and go up against Sophie 3.0, blah blah blah, that's all fun. There is nothing about this DLC which won't be fun to do, I highly doubt, because it is more content. But at least for me, I see nothing so far, and we'll have to wait and see at the time, of course, and be sure to stick around on the channel, because you can bet I'll be covering this and seeing exactly what bang for buck you're getting, depending on the cost of it. But I tell you what, this had better be better than that Lewis Hamilton DLC, because that was garbage. It gave you a huge amount of credits for no apparent reason, at a point in the game where you've already got most of the cars in GT Sport anyway. Sure, it was a great challenge, but aside from presumably paying Lewis Hamilton, I would guess is probably the main reason why they had to charge for it, to make that money back, there was really nothing about that which couldn't have just been an update as well. And in fact, you can prove that point by going backwards to GT6 and looking at the challenges in that game. You could race against drivers in that game as well, such as in Red Bull challenges, the Senna challenge, so those don't have to be paid either. And to all of the people who continually say the same tired old rubbish about, well, this is free stuff on top of a game which just makes it better. First of all, no, this isn't free. It's paid, and it's paid on top of what you've already paid for. This to me doesn't feel like something which is adding to an already great game, because there are very few people who will defend the career mode, quote unquote, quote-unquote of Gran Turismo 7. And there are of course even less people who will defend the career mode of GT Sport because, well, as we said before, there literally wasn't even one in the game at launch. But again, there's the difference. They didn't charge for that. So what has changed to justify not charging for career mode to be added to GT Sport, whereas now it is justified in charging it for GT7? That's a very serious question that you need to answer before you start to defend this choice. If you are a fan of paid DLC, which as I've said I am, it needs to be used in the right way. Because if you don't use it in the right way, it's literally just, by definition, a cash grab. It's a way of squeezing a few extra pennies out of a game when it is long past its initial sales period. In fact, more than a few people have said specifically in my recent coverage of Spec 3, let alone this paid DLC, that they haven't played Gran Turismo 7 in some cases well over a year, in some cases months. Lots of people who are really excited are simply not bothering to log into the game, even with all of the free content. So yes, for those who want more to do, this is going to provide that. I hope for those people that they're happy. I hope for myself that I get enjoyment out of it, of course. But the question always needs to be asked, and if at all possible, and I'm speaking to those who have just a little bit of an open mind here, because for the other people, you can't be helped because you don't want to be. But for those who have a little bit of an open mind, the question needs to be asked, not can I afford this? The question needs to be asked, is this something you want to continue in the series? Do you want to see this happen in every game? Do you want a precedent to be set that this will be the new norm? Do you want to pay for gameplay on top of having already paid for the game? And sometimes recontextualizing what these things actually represent is what matters, because then you can see through the BS, see through the fandom, see through the us versus them mentality that this always becomes, and see actual questions, actual issues, and what is going to happen in future because of support and decisions that we as consumers make now, them as developers make now, and what that is ultimately going to lead to in future. We already don't own our games in many cases. There are some who are fighting against that, some who are all for it, and some who are slowly marching toward that region. And for me, I have concerns about Gran Turismo doing that. Of course, this video could go on for a lot longer. I'll be very curious to see either way who is for this, who's against it. Maybe some who are kind of torn a little bit in the middle ground, like myself. We'll have to see what it's like on December 4th. And beyond that, yeah, here's hoping it's good. And the timing on this is very curious as well, because this DLC really does need to be good when you're comparing a paid career mode expansion with, as far as I can tell, no new vehicles or tracks or anything, just an expansion of career mode with some extra credits, with something which is in comparison free, quote unquote, and gives you 7 cars, 3 tracks, and tons of other stuff which people actually are looking forward to. We'll have to wait and see. December 4th is when I'll begin playing it along with everyone else, and stick around for more. And for now, thanks for watching.